the biggest questions after Fallout Season 1. Welcome back to Nerdist News, I'm Dan Casey, and war never changes, but the news does, and so we're here to answer your biggest questions about Fallout Season 1. The critically acclaimed adaptation of Bethesda's post-nuclear role-playing game is out now on Prime Video, and it answered some long-running mysteries about the franchise. However, it also left us with some Deathclaw-sized question marks. While Season 2 is confirmed, it's gonna be a while before it emerges from the vault, so in the meantime, we're gonna break down the biggest questions after watching Fallout Season 1 and contextualize what they mean for Season 2. Now, if you prefer to read all about it, tune your Pip-Boys to Nerdist.com where Mikey Walsh has you covered. Now, in order to talk about all of this in detail, well, we have to spoil what happens in Fallout Season 1. So if you've been hermetically sealed away for the past couple weeks or centuries and haven't seen it yet, leave now before it's too late.
You'll never find out. Oh, he's gonna find out.
Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Let's start with maybe the biggest question of all. Who is pulling the strings for Vault-Tec? Longtime Fallout players know that Vault-Tec's involved in some shady stuff, but the fact that they are now canonically responsible for starting the Great War? That's pretty damn wild.
Management.
In Episode 8's pre-war flashback, we saw a shadowy council meeting with Vault-Tec, where they decided the fate of the world as we know it. It was comprised of elite industrialists and defense contractors from major corporations like Robco, Repcon, Big MT, and Westtech. Even the reps themselves are straight out of Fallout game lore, albeit in Mr. House's case, much fleshier. And while that top-secret meeting did give shades of the Enclave, it seems like those secretive scientists are up to no good in some entirely different fashion. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. So, the question is, who's pulling the strings for Vault-Tec 200 years later? Does Bud have even more buds than we could have anticipated?
When you put it like that, sounds downright morally questionable.
We'll find out soon enough thanks to the ghoul who put a tracker in Lucy's dad, Hank. Because good old Hank very predictably hightailed it from the Griffith Observatory and went straight to find his bosses. And to my fist-pumping Leonardo DiCaprio screen-pointing delight, they are in New Vegas. And this raises a whole slew of other questions, like when did Vault-Tec's remnants set up shop in New Vegas? Who is running the strip? And will anybody have better line deliveries than Benny?
What in the damn?
Now, the appearance of New Vegas and the decimation of the NCR had some folks questioning if this show decanonizes Fallout New Vegas. Well, folks, no, it doesn't. In a recent interview with IGN, Fallout game director Todd Howard clarified that everything that happened in previous games is canon. Howard said there might be a little bit of confusion at some places, but everything that happened in the previous games, including New Vegas, happened. We're very careful about that. The real question is which ending of Fallout New Vegas is canon. Presumably it's the ending where you side with the New California Republic, but with the NCR basically destroyed and the strip looking significantly worse for wear than it did in the ending of the game, it leaves us to wonder who's running the show from the Lucky 38, and more specifically, could it be a familiar face? And that leads us to our next question.
Where's my f***ing family?
The man formerly known as Cooper Howard was with his daughter Janie when the bombs fell in Los Angeles in Episode 1. And as we saw in the finale, Coop's ex-wife Barb was a chief architect of the apocalypse for Vault-Tec. Clearly they survived the apocalypse in one of the good vaults, but could they now be living the high life in a place like New Vegas?
All I'm asking is, who decided that there were no dogs in the vault?
We'll find out, but speaking of family and Vault-Tec, what's going to happen with poor Norm back in Vault 31? Lucy's morbidly curious brother uncovered the terrifying truth behind the special relationship with Vaults 31, 32, and 33. So is Norm doomed to become Bud's newest bud, taking up residence in his dad's old stasis pod till someone comes to let him out? Or will other Vault dwellers from 32 and 33 realize that Vault 31 controls every aspect of their lives? Chet is honestly the closest one to solving this puzzle, but by his own admission, he's a huge coward.
That's why we live in a vault.
And speaking of huge cowards, the Brotherhood of Steel, am I right? This fanatical armored militant group managed to capture the secret of cold fusion by the finale's end. Considering that the Resource War is one of the biggest preludes to nuclear war in the Fallout timeline, unlimited power should theoretically be a force for good. Unfortunately, it's in the hands of quasi-religious nutjobs with Gatling guns, airships, and a lot of baggage both literally and figuratively.
Warrior waits! Yeah.
It's safe to assume that nothing good will come of the Brotherhood gaining access to unlimited energy, unless the newly knighted Maximus can effect change from within. That opportunistic squire turned power-armored liar is now seen as a hero by his peers. Meeting Lucy changed the trajectory of his entire life and opened his eyes to a world beyond the Brotherhood.
You want one? They make you feel so good. You want to make my explode now?
But can he fight the good fight from within, or will he fall back into his old ways? And speaking of the old ways, many eagle-eyed Fallout fans out there spotted something very specific in the show that may canonize an ending from Fallout 4. You know that massive airship the Brotherhood of Steel uses? If you look closely, there's a familiar name on it, the Pridwin. That airship played a major role in Fallout 4, and its presence here seemingly confirms that the Brotherhood of Steel ending is canon, because most other endings in that game involve destroying said airship. And that would certainly explain why the Brotherhood is seemingly still so powerful in 2296. And given the religious overtones of the Brotherhood on the show, it has us wondering if maybe we could see Elder Arthur Maxon appear in Season 2. If you remember, journal entries in Fallout 4 revealed this charismatic elder had a cult-like following, with some people worshipping Maxon as though he's some kind of god. But moving on, we come to one of the least explored groups in the Fallout show, the Enclave, and they clearly had a head start on the competition in terms of tech. I said...
Okie dokie.
Now, at first glance on the show, the Enclave almost resembled Fallout 4's Institute. It was this haven for scientists to conduct all manner of experiments, ethical and otherwise. Now, in the games, the Enclave was a shadowy cabal of power brokers that manipulated everything from nuclear geopolitics to the sick experiments carried out in the vaults. After the Great War, the Enclave was left divided into these distinct remnants like the one we see on the show. Now, the Enclave of the Fallout show is isolated in this mountain lair, but how did they get their shadowy mitts on Vault-Tech's most valuable piece of unfinished tech, cold fusion? And if they have it, why didn't they use it? The Enclave was sitting on the possibility of unlimited power, but instead they kept it locked away. Is this part of their master plan to try and control the Wasteland in the same way that Vault-Tech hoped to? Now, the stupidest possible answer is the Enclave simply didn't have the access code, which, as we see in Episode 8, is an Easter egg for the original Fallout's release date. Or maybe keeping this technology secret was their way of maintaining a post-nuclear status quo. Détente? More like détente us by keeping the tech for themselves. Hey! Everybody just liked that. However, Will Zig's efforts to liberate Moldaver's cold fusion technology, which is still branded with Vault-Tech's insignia, raises a distinct possibility. Is the Enclave hiding this on behalf of Vault-Tech, the people who are most desperate to lock this technology away? We need to know exactly why the Enclave did this and what it means for their relationship with Vault-Tech in the post-apocalypse. Because if they hid cold fusion, what else is the Enclave hiding? Well, in a blink and you'll miss it moment in Episode 2, you can spot what appears to be a mutant body on a gurney. And longtime Fallout fans know that mutants are one of the most iconic and deadliest enemies in the entire series. Now, for those who don't know, mutants are humans who've been transformed into green superpowered monstrosities. They were created by exposure to the forced evolutionary virus, a man-made virus created by West-Tech, under the supervision of Leon von Felden, who was present at the top-secret Vault-Tech meeting in Episode 8. Anything to tell us, Leon?
What about using a vault to develop a super mutant soldier using illegal immigrants?
So, does this mean that we could see mutants coming in Season 2? Well, the Enclave is pretty radically anti-mutant in the games, but they've also forced them to work as slave labor before, so it's pretty bad no matter what happens. And that raises the question, what kind of experiments are they actually doing in the Enclave? Whatever it is, they can't be good. Are they trying to turn people into mutants? Are they trying to build super soldiers for a coming war? Are they making an even better cybernetic dog? We'll find out. Are they gonna kill another guy from Lost?
Okie dokie.
Anyway, let's talk about a different set of monstrosities beyond human comprehension. Folks, I'm talking about ghouls.
You know,
Fallout's necrotic zombie-like creatures played a key role in this show. And while I may be a humble smoothskin, as far as I know, there is no known cure for transforming into a ghoul other than an untimely death. Now, the ghoul has to continually take a mysterious chem that prevents him from going feral, a process that would see him lose all sense of self and turn into a mindless murder monster. The show, though, also revealed another chemical concoction that can heal terrible wounds in the blink of an eye by instantly turning you into a ghoul. It's a lesson that Squire Thaddeus learned the hard way.
Why am I not dead?
But the larger question raised by Thaddeus' transformation and Coop's anti-feral inhalers is whether Fallout could be hinting at a cure for ghoulism. In the games, it's established that some ghouls were created via radiation experiments back in the pre-war era. Who's to say that research couldn't progress in the other direction? Maybe at a place like the Enclave or in one of Vault-Tech's remnants? After all, they had the secret of cold fusion just lying around. Who knows what else they're sitting on? Also, who created the medicine that ghouls like Coop have to take in the first place? Could it be someone like Moldaver? I mean, she's responsible for cold fusion, and she has this long-standing relationship with Coop, the oldest surviving ghoul. Could Moldaver be the reason that the ghoul is still alive without being feral? Well, actress Sarita Chowdhury thinks so. Nerdist asked her in an interview about Moldaver's potential role in creating ghoul medicine. Chowdhury said, "I bet she did, and I bet she also knew how much, say, you take medicine just like in life, how much it helps and then f***s with you later. So I bet you that was part of within surviving and trying to bring cold fusion back to the Wasteland. Definitely. I just love this theory." And speaking of theories, how exactly did Moldaver survive a nuclear war? When we last saw her, she was cutting a deal with Coop inside a mausoleum at Hollywood Forever. 200 years later, she looks like she barely aged a day. Now she's leading the remnants of the new California Republic. The answer, like for Vault-Tec executives, seems to be some kind of long-term cryogenic stasis. But who put her into stasis and who woke her up in the present? Who was aiding Moldaver in her secret quest to stop Vault-Tec? Did she have someone on the inside? And if so, does that mean that Barb Howard isn't the puppet master ruling New Vegas, but someone trying to atone for her monstrous past? Or could Coop and Barb's daughter Janie maybe have grown up to be the person who wakes up Moldaver? And while Moldaver is left full of bullet holes at the end of the series, the holes in her backstory can still be filled in Season 2 and beyond. And there you have it, folks. Those are our biggest questions that we had after Fallout Season 1. With Season 2 on the way, we'll have plenty of time to overthink our favorite post-nuclear apocalypse, but if you want to dive even deeper in the meantime, we've got you covered over on Nerdist. For now, folks, tell us, what did you think of the Fallout series? What were your biggest questions after watching Season 1?
You wanna make my explode now?
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.